Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Naked Eye. I am joined by, once again, my high school friend and musician, Brydon. Brydon, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you having me.
Dude, it's been forever since I talked to you, dude. And I remember just like going on my Instagram. It's like South of 40 out now. It's like, wait, what? This guy makes music? And then I listened to it, and I'm like, wait. This guy makes good music? Because it's sometimes it can be kind of dicey. It's like, check out my SoundCloud, and it's like, oh, geez, how do you tell them this is tough? But your music's actually like really, really good. I like it.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've always wanted to do music, but as I was growing up, I played hockey and sports and stuff like that, and that took up a bunch of time. And then it's kind of weird to say, but like through life, the friends you carry and stuff like that, sometimes you just carry a persona of somebody that like not necessarily like you're trying to be, but just somebody that you're like, I don't know, fill in the position. So like playing hockey, for example, like you did, I don't know. I didn't want to be the kid that was like, yeah, I'm making music. Like it just, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but like when you're younger, you don't want to be different. You want to kind of stay within the clique that you have. So kind of
That's a
kept
good
it
point.
silent, but I loved poetry. I loved writing, and I'd always like keep a book with me of just rhymes and stuff like that. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
think like it surprised me even when when I saw your music just on my Instagram. I'm like, wait, he makes music? Because I know. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, I knew you liked music when I knew you in high school, but like, I never knew you were this inclined to even make your own.
yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, just like I got out of high school and just had some things happen in life, and I was really like, you know what? We really got like a short life. Like even you take 100 years, like time just flies by. Like us, for example, like the last time I think we seen each other was probably 6 years ago, and like you
Oh,
think about it, it's like holy crap, like 6 years.
that's
Like in
crazy.
6 years when you're younger, you learn how to walk, you ride a bike, you like pick up
Mhm.
all these skills, and I feel like as you grow up in life, you a lot of people just fall into like a almost just like a normal life. Like they get a routine and don't like to break it. And I said, you know what?
Mhm.
I don't want to look back at my life and say I didn't try something I love. So
That's fair,
took
man.
the opportunity and yeah, just sat down one day and I was like, you know what? I'm really going to go at it. So, and I actually lucked out. My brother used to be like good with the drums and stuff like that. So I went up to him and this was, I really only started doing it like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And I went up to him and I said, hey, like I got all these words I need to put out, but I don't have any beats. What do you think about making them? And he's like, yeah, fuck it. I'll go buy a computer. Give me a little bit. Went and got a computer and he came back to me like a week later with like these trash beats. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like they were fucking whack. But he actually could keep them like in rhythm. And I was like, you know what? Like fuck. I was like, let's fucking do this, man. Like let's yeah, like let's take some time and actually figure this out. So here we are a year and a half later and
That
I
is
think we
that is.
got like we got like 40 songs probably ready to go. We're just kind of taking our time with it, but yeah.
I love how you described that story. Did he have that tone of voice when you asked him? He's like, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he was excited, but yeah.
The way you
I
described it.
honestly think like everybody I told I made music had the thing like you said, we're just like, man, you fucking never once really actually considered doing music till now. Like this is probably gonna be whack. And yeah, which is
Yeah.
fair enough. But yeah, so
Well, same with that. What was the name of that one guy in our high school who like made SoundCloud music? And like, I remember we all, I feel bad, but like, I mean, hopefully he looks back at it now. He knows it's hot garbage, but he made like hot garbage music. Like, I remember one of his bars where like I'm like a something something about a booger, and he flicks it. I think his name was Jaden or something. I don't entirely remember his
I
name,
can't remember, but
but do you
I
know
can't
kind of what
remember,
I'm
but
talking about?
yeah, I remember there was like that thing going around. I actually don't remember too much about the whole situation, but yeah.
I just
Well,
thought it
every
was like that
man, I'm not even gonna lie. If I could show you some of the shit that I made at the start, whew,
was it hot garbage?
yeah, it wasn't anything I wouldn't want the public to hear or wouldn't want the public to hear. But Yeah.
Okay, now I
But yeah.
100% have to hear it at some point in my life.
Yeah.
We'll keep it between me, you, and the trailer.
Fuck yeah. But yeah, no. I really like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know, I was really nervous to put stuff out, like, and just like eerie on the whole fact of like the vulnerability of music. Like I've never really, well, I'm like good spoken. I really, like you said, like we said, we used to do like lip sync battles. I was always fucking outgoing and shit like that. But to actually put something out that like people can listen to all the time and shit like that, it's
Mhm.
like a whole different kind of
Yeah. Yeah,
thing. But
yeah.
yeah,
I feel you. I mean, with this podcast, even like, even though I'm pursuing
that's,
broadcasting, it's like when I first released the first episode, I'm like, I was just scared. So I'm like, I wonder what the reception is going to be. And you always have that thing where it's like you hear your voice in the recording, and it's like that sounds like garbage, even though your friend might be like, "No, man, that actually sounds good." You just like, I think it's just, I think it's a scarily normal thing to just hate your own voice for some reason. You have that when
it
making
is.
music.
Oh man, all the time. Even all I've like it's weird to say, every song I have out, when I listen to it, like I enjoy it, but I'm still like picking things apart that like I'm like, oh fuck, that kind of sounds like shit. Like I could have just rolled that fucking note a little better or like, but like everybody else, I'm like, well, when we were going through the process to put it out, we had like the South of 40 EP ready to go for like I think it was 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
And shout out Canadian Daydream. They're my studio that I send my stuff to, and they do like just a little bit of mix and then the final master of the song. Um, but yeah, like I was sending things back and forth with them, like, hey, could you just like tweak this, like just a small bit? Could you fucking DS like this part just a little bit? And my friends and stuff, my brother were like, man, like nobody fucking hears this shit you're talking about. Like, fuck off. I'm like, well, fuck.
I think it's one of those things though where like you just keep listening into it, keep listening to it, you just get picky and picky and picky. But at the same time you gotta have that balance because I've spoken to like the guy I actually had on my first podcast, Dona. He's also a musician. Shout out to Dona. And he said one thing that is a problem with him is if he keeps listening to the same song over and over and over again, he starts to force himself to like it. He's like, oh, yeah, this is actually pretty
Yeah.
good. And sometimes you kind of need a break. And when you get back into it, it's like, oh, wow, that's actually hot garbage.
That's
And then,
actually one of my strategies with making songs, which is weird enough, which is I'm glad to hear somebody else does it. Is I'll go in and I'll try to do like 3 songs like while I'm in the studio or even just one song, but I'll get it done to the point where like I'm not doing like 100 takes to get the perfection end of it. I just kind of do like a one take, see how it sounds. And then I let it sit for a day or two and come back to it and just like hear how the rough draft sounds.
mhm.
And if the rough draft still clicks with me, then I'll like move on to do the fine critiquing and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's actually like, it's a thing because even like in school, my professors like preach it. It's like, make sure when you do something, you let it sit for a second and then come back. Because I
Yeah.
guess that's just like built into us. It's just we want
Yeah.
something, if we want something to be done, it's like our brain is like, you know what, that's good. And then you look back at it and it's like, oh wait, that's actually not as good as what this could have been. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm laughing here now because when we talked about the fucking shitty music I've made, that's what it was. I was in there, finally got behind a mic. I'm like fucking doing my shit. And I'm like, yeah, like this is actually not bad. Go back, play it like 3 days later, and I'm like,
Just like,
what the fuck was I thinking?
just sitting there with your headphones on, just like holding back tears, like pain.
Yeah, but oh fuck,
Well, one thing I
it's
wanted to
good
ask
fun
you,
though.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it sounds like good fun. I think music is something a lot of people want to try at least once. Like I know at least
I,
once in my life, I'm like, you know what, I kind of want to make a song. And then my friend gave me FL Studio. He's like, "Hey, try to make a song." And I made a doo doo beat. And I'm like, this ain't it for me. I can't do this. I think people fail to
Man, it is
realize
quite the.
how. Go ahead.
That's what we use as FL Studios, and fuck, it really is quite the platform to use. Like my brother amazes me now. Like, Told Ya, which is the first song on the EP. He made the beat in probably like 33 minutes. Like, well, I guess 33 minutes
Wow.
was what we had on our phone because we were just sitting there, and I sent a text when he started, and we would look back on it, and we're like, holy fuck, man! Like 33 minutes, he killed this beat. And then the song fully came together within the hour. Like just the
That's
lyrics, I
crazy.
wrote them down, fucking to on the mic, and
Hmm.
but then we look back and we had beats that took us like 3 hours to get fucking nowhere. It's like,
Yeah, I guess it just happens sometimes. You need that like
yeah,
spark, I guess. I think it's just
yeah,
it goes from song to song. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I tried making a song and it was garbage. I just think people need to realize like how much actually goes into making a good song. You can't just like snap your finger and it's like that's a sick beat. It's like you need to really take some time into considering like, okay, does this work with this flow? Does this work with these bars? Like does it work with the theme of the song? Like a lot of it,
yeah.
there's a lot that goes into making a good song.
There is, and even like it's even if you do get like an easy song, like for example, the lifestyle song. I actually just freestyled that song like one take over a YouTube instrumental I found. And
Really?
then my brother came to me like 2 days later with this beat that was like within the same BPM and the same like I guess just the same sounds and stuff like that. I'm
Mhm.
like, yo, man, that's so weird. I was like, I actually have a full song like ready to go for this. He's like, let's
Oh,
hear it. And I can spit it. And he's like, holy fuck, man, like get on and record that. But then like that like took like fucking 2 minutes. But then to record it, we had to do like probably 40 takes just to get like the thing sounding right and just
mm.
chopping it up in little ways and stuff like that. So yeah. So even if it is quick, and some people like, I know like one person I really look up to is Lil Wayne, and he says like he can just go into a studio and just like spit one take and fucking, or not even one take, but just freestyle the whole song, and like he's in and out in like 15-20 minutes. But then you look at like his part might be fast, but then the engineers and the fucking masters and all that shit still takes a lot of time. So yeah.
The whipping boys.
Yeah.
Like Lil Wayne 10 minutes later. All right, guys, it's your job. It's like, oh fuck's sake.
Man, there's a funny story. This guy fucking, I used to watch like a bunch of like interviews and just freestyles and stuff like that just to get motivation. And this one guy, I think he spent $100,000 to get Lil Wayne for a feature. And
Yeah.
Lil Wayne requested these 4 bottles of alcohol that, or forget what they were, 4 bottles of liquor of some sort, and they're super expensive too. And he said like, yeah, fuck, I thought for that amount of money, like we'd chop it up, maybe even get the 2 songs, like da. He said Wayne came in, spit his verse in 15 minutes, took the bottles of liquor and left. And the guy was just sitting there like, well, fuck, that was a fast fucking bag. But yeah. But to each its own, man. He's
I
fucking
love.
goat. So.
Do you find that inspirational? It's like I want to be that good one day.
Yeah, fuck. I mean, when you fucking put out enough hits that you can confidently do that without fucking even sweating it at all, I mean, you've done something right. So
Yeah, I think confidence plays a huge part in making good music.
yeah,
Obviously, like if you're doubting yourself, I don't think that's. I don't think with anything really. If you doubt yourself, I think there's definitely more room for error.
that's the thing. And that was one thing I really struggled with was confidence. Like, I guess like I don't know. I've always been confident, like enough to just portray like an image and uh like have good conversations and not shy to start conversations. But like there's a whole different confidence, like, and you'd know with the podcast, like it's not just sitting in front of your peers having a conversation or meeting somebody new. It's like you have to really like dig deep to find the motivation to put something out when it is yourself and you hear your voice, and like you you do always have those thoughts of like the what ifs or like what are
Mhm.
people gonna think and stuff like that. So that's something that you always carry with you. But it
Yeah.
is a nice feeling once you get past that whole thing, because once you're past it, it's kind of like the world's like yours. Like you can do whatever you want
Mhm.
at that point. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I think one thing that I find really interesting about myself is like I was in high school, especially. I think now it's just like I'm just who I am. I'm expressive. I'm extroverted to everyone and anything. I don't really care. But in high school, I was like a combination of shy and like outgoing. So like I'd be like out confident enough to do something stupid in class, but outside of class, if like a girl talked to me, I'd be like, hi, I think I like your face. Like it was weird. Like I couldn't explain it how I could be confident in one thing, then absolutely like so shy and anxious and nervous to do another thing.
I was the exact same way. Like I always said I was a fucking introverted introvert because like hockey gave me the confidence to like I guess just carry myself well, and like through school I was like well spoken and stuff like that. But there's still things that I look back on that like, well, the music thing, for example, like I was not confident enough in myself to tell people that like, hey, I wanted to make music, or to even make it and show anybody. And like, yeah, I don't know, like life's really weird that way. It allows you to like, I think we start somewhere like for a reason so that we can grow into something, look back, and then we can teach people as we move forward, like things that helped us along the way. That's one thing I find with music that's nice. And this next song that I'm dropping is just going to be like more of a story spoken, which is something I'm going at a little different. So,
Nice, nice.
yeah.
I think you're right. Um I think a lot of things just happen for a reason. Like especially the more I think about it, like every night, I think COVID has brought the best out of a lot of people. Like I don't think I would have done this podcast if it wasn't for COVID. So
I
I
was the
think
same way with this music.
really,
Yeah, like I guess, well, I probably would have, but like, I think it allowed me to really just dig deeper into myself. And I do feel like for a lot of people, like COVID has been, well, it hasn't been easy. Like, for example, just like family distancing and friends distancing, and like just even the social aspect of just like going out to the mall, to the city, like all those things do play a factor in a lot of ways in people's lives. And I do understand and hope everybody's doing well with their mental health and do get help and speak out if they need, because it's very important. But personally, I did take this time to really like, I guess I took it to reflect a lot on myself and just dig deeper into like who I was. And like, for example, like what I was saying about like not having the opportunity to talk to people and speak to people, I found it as the chance to like, I got to find my own way to, if this does happen again, or if something does happen, that I can leave a story and leave something that I can say to people even without speaking. So
wow,
yeah, that's kind
that's actually really powerful, man.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a great way of looking at it. I think that's something I also had like that. That was something I also thought of because I think you mentioned this earlier how a lot of people. I don't remember where I got this quote from, but I think it's very powerful. I think some people don't actually live life; they just react to it. So they just get a job, um, pay off their debts, start a family, and but next thing they know it's like they're in their mid 40s and their kids are through college. It's like what I don't even have an identity. So
It's actually,
I think COVID has given a lot of people, especially me, a second to be like, is this who I want to be? Just as I just remember like everything before COVID, things are going by so fast. It's like, damn, I'm almost done my first year of college, and like I had a girlfriend at the time, and like everything was just I couldn't explain it. I was just like I just blinked and the year was over. And then COVID just slowed everything down to like a halt pretty much. And I think that in itself was really helpful for me and my mental health.
yeah, I actually agree. And like I know a lot, like some they go back, like some people will argue that, but that's where I like, I don't argue, I don't like to argue, but that's where in my opinion, like you were just saying, like it's just like it's something you can grow from. And I think like a lot of people, like you said, just go through life living what I classify as the norm. Like you go to school, you get a job, you build a family, and you just live every day to just kind of, I guess, provide for like your family and like stuff like that. But like I feel like everybody in life needs to take a chance on something they love. I was actually talking to this old lady at work, and it's really neat. Like you always learn. That's one of my favorite things about the job. Like there is a lot of things about the job that you're like, oh, whatever. But talking to the people that have been around for like even like 100 years is a long time. And it was actually this one lady said to me, she said, through life, you find something that you love, and a lot of people won't jump at it. And instead, they worry about things that don't necessarily matter as much. Like some people will worry about money, but they worry about it in the wrong ways. And other people will worry about pride, but they worry about it in the wrong ways. And she said, I didn't even realize it till I got sent to a nursing home. And she said, my whole life, with everything I did, she said, the only things I got to bring with me to the nursing home were my memories, the friendships I made, and a couch and a dresser. So she said, like, the house
Yeah,
I bought, the clothes I bought, oh, I guess you got to bring her clothes, but like the jewelry, like all that
I
stuff
hope so.
that, like, yeah. But yeah, like all that stuff that like is just there as like, like almost a distraction, like just to keep your mind distracted, really just like disappears, and like all you're left with is like the memories that you've made, and I guess the what ifs if you didn't try and jump at something that you wanted to do. So yeah, that was actually, she was actually the one that really made me say, like, you know what, I gotta do this music, because I don't want to be old looking back going like, oh, like what if I just tried it, like what could
Hmm.
have been different. So
I think, yeah,
yeah.
I think that is a really good point. I think something I use in my life is I'd rather regret doing something than not doing something.
That's the best thing ever. And actually, like another quote I got growing up, my hockey coach one time, we lost a game, and I was just super upset. Like I was a kid that always loved winning. Like I hated to lose. I absolutely dreaded the thought of losing. I woke up to win. And he actually told me one time, and it stuck with me till this day. He asked me, he said, what do you learn winning? And I was like, I sat there and I thought, I was like, I actually really don't know. And he said, exactly. The things that you learn are the things that you will learn are in the times that you're losing. He said, when you're winning, all you're thinking about is winning. He said, it's when you're losing is when you really just sit there and think about what you could do different, what you can improve on, what you'll do better next time to win. And I was like, well, that's some very wise words. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's something that like even I mentioned this in my one of my earlier podcasts. My jiu-jitsu coach, he said, yeah, you don't really lose. You either win or you learn. I think that's
Yeah.
something that's really important to live by.
Yeah.
So this podcast has gone completely off track. 'Cause I have like a list of questions here, but we just kind of started just like we just started going on the conversation. I love that. So one of the questions I just wanted to ask you, is there a reason why you don't have like an AKA? Is there a reason why it's just Brydon?
um, like for the name,
Yeah.
yeah. So actually, I was really struggling with the name actually. Like I started doing music, and I never ever thought that I'd need a name. Like I got up to the point of releasing stuff and was like, oh yeah, I need a name. And I was like, fuck, I don't even know what a name could be. And like personally, like there's some neat names out there, but like I don't know. I didn't really think of like a name that popped in my head that would be good for me. And
That's
the only
fair.
one that I really came up with that like my friends just call me Don, just short form for well, Brad. And Don B was like one name that like kind of came with me, but there was already somebody with it. So I was like, you know what? I
Mm,
I only know one other Brydon, and I was like, fuck it, might as well just stick with my own name. But yeah,
that's
so
fair.
that's yeah.
But to be fair, I think it's better to just go with your name than like a Lil something, like Lil
Yeah.
B. I swear, dude, if your name was Lil B, I would have not have thrown you on this podcast. I'm like that name enough wants me to like makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, I think there's enough Lils out there.
Yeah. I definitely think so too. And it's good to see like just from like looking at you, you're not really like going with the trends of modern rappers and like it's like you're just bathing in tattoos and like got grills everywhere. You still look like you. I think that's really important.
That's one thing that I want to live by. And actually one of my favorite artists is J. Cole. And I actually put out a quote the other day on my Instagram. I said, what did I say? I don't idolize, but something about my idols keep me or let me stay true to myself. And it's so true. Like just listening to his music, and I used to watch his like interviews and stuff like that. And it showed me that you don't have to be um what like the I guess the hip hop game calls like the norm now. Like decked out in jewelry and like you said, tattoos, and even like talking a certain way and like using slang and like just like different like ways you go at rap and stuff like that. Like in my opinion, my favorite artists are the people that are just still the same person they were 20 years ago and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one thing that I'm gonna live by and stay true to. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's good to hear. I mean, I'm glad because obviously there's trends, and to an extent, someone can just follow a trend and be successful. But
Yeah.
I don't think you don't seem like you want to just hop on a trend, be popular for a couple months, and then disappear. It seems like you just want to be yourself and just like carry yourself the way you want for the rest of your career, even if you don't get super famous. Is that correct, or do you want to
That's the
blow up one
thing.
day?
And actually in one of my songs I said something, actually that's awful. I can't even remember the line, but I say something like, I'll take the money, but you can have the fame. Like I'm not really in it for like the fame at all. Like of course like money would be nice. Like I always say like
Subscribe to my OnlyFans.
yeah,
Just kidding,
I
just
always
kidding.
say I always say, and it's like I guess it's bad to say, but like money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure makes misery a hell of a lot easier. Like is the truth of it, but
That was the saddest, most accurate quote I've heard in my life.
yeah, but yeah, so but I don't know, I feel like trends are just short term. I want to be in this for longevity. Like I don't want to just put out something that people are going to listen to once and then never hear again. I want to put out things like, and this next song I'm going to drop, I'm really hoping will connect with a lot of people, but I'm hoping it just does that. I want to, yeah, I don't want to, like, I guess, and just referring to a app, like those TikTok or like Vine, for example. Like Vine was huge like
Hmm.
5 years ago, and that was the it thing. But like a lot of people on Vine didn't, uh, what's the word? Like
Do anything.
explore it. Yeah, didn't do anything else other than Vine, and then you're kind of just stuck with nothing once like it's up. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't want to do that. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
fair. And then you just like, is that something you think about when you make music? It's like this certain part could just be super catchy. Like, do you want to make catchy music, or do you want to make music that means a lot to you?
So actually, that was one thing that a lot of my songs right now, I wouldn't say are like super catchy. It was just like, so like if I say I have 40 songs that are like done right now, I guess I put six out now. Um, Probably out of those 40 songs, probably 70% of them don't have a hook or like a
Mm.
catchy verse in them at all. Because I just had so much like that I've been wanting to say for years that like once I finally got the opportunity to say them, it wasn't about pleasing anybody. It was almost just about like the therapeutic aspect of being able to speak everything I wanted to say into something. And even if nobody listens it, it's just nice to be able to project it to something. So I say it into the microphone and then I get to hear it back to myself. And it's like therapeutic that way. So
Yeah, therapeutic.
so where
Yeah.
I was going, I guess I'm going off topic again, but um a lot of the songs I've had up to this point haven't been catchy, but I realize that music is about catchy music. Like music that sticks is something you can hear once and like just remember the words after like the first time, second time hearing it. So that's
Hmm.
where I went kind of more catchy with the lifestyles one. But
I
yeah,
think there's a genuine talent for people who just make catchy music. Like if
I,
that's your
I
thing, I think that's your thing. Like there's a
yeah,
genuine talent to that.
I completely agree. It's harder than like, well, I guess you said like you've tried making beats. It's harder than you think making the catchy hook or like coming up with a catchy chorus or something like that. Like it's difficult, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, Jason Derulo. I don't think Jason Derulo is necessarily a good musician, but it's like you hear the Jason Derulo, it's like, oh, this is gonna be catchy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. And that's what,
like,
and you know what? Like I don't like to shit on anybody because it's love all around. I think everybody, even if they're not doing good in somebody else's eye, I give them complete credit for just doing it. But like I think there's a lot of artists that blew up off of not being good, but just having catchy hooks. Like for example, and no hate on him, but Lil Pump, like I don't really like his music, but it went fucking like crazy. Like his festivals and all that shit were just nuts. And it was because he didn't make music that was complex, didn't make music that necessarily spoke to anybody. It just made music that people can fucking vibe to and hear once and know the words for the rest of the song. Yeah.
But
So
I
there
think
is
there's
an art to that.
I think there's definitely a niche for that as well. Because sometimes
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be in my feelings. Sometimes I just want to put a song in the car and just jam out. You know what I'm saying?
that's the
But
thing. Yeah.
that's what he's good at. That's what he's good at. You hear Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang. It's like, all right, blare that up all the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I kind of wanted to talk to you about was just going all the way back to the beginning. So your discography in general. So was South of 40 the first thing you released like publicly, or was there something prior to that?
Uh, Actually, I released I released two things on Instagram. I released like a song, and it was just an acoustic song I made on the guitar, and it was called Dark Clouds Rain. And I put that out on Instagram for a little while, and I took it down actually. I forget why. And then when my buddy Jeff passed away, I made a song just kind of talking about just how I felt and just like the situation, and just trying to give people like, I don't know, just a little bit of hope and stuff like that. And yeah, and I put that one out on Instagram too, and it's still up there. But other than that, yeah, South of 40 was the first music I ever put out to anybody. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you're off to a great start because like I like some of the songs on there.
I
So,
appreciate it. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, I mean, sadly, I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but like,
that's all right, man.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
thing. Like, to be honest, it's not even my favorite piece of work. I like it. I'm glad I put it out, but I feel like with anything, like you just get better as you go. So
Hmm.
I think like that'll be something I look back on and not necessarily laugh, but to an extent laugh at it, because like
Hmm.
you're just always gonna get better from it. So,
Yeah,
but
I think
yeah,
that's one thing that is kind of it's like a double-edged sword of being
yeah,
of like not being popular, and when you release stuff at first, it's like okay, the bright side is no one's going to hear this, but the
yeah,
thing that sucks is no one's going to hear this. So it's like
yeah,
you kind of have the freedom to do whatever you want, but at the same time it's like you kind of want to make something out of it. Like for me, for example, like if I release my podcast every single week and I got like 2 views every single time, I'd be like, all right, this isn't it. Like even though I enjoy doing this, if absolutely nobody cares, it's like it's not something I want to pursue. I mean, I think I have an audience of like 15 to 20 people. So that's like enough for me to be happy enough to keep like making content. And I obviously enjoy it. But like it's good for me because I think the episode that I made with Brad has like 1,300 views now, which is crazy. Like I've never even experienced anything like that before. I think it came at a good time because I feel like if that was my first episode, I would have been all
yeah,
nervous and I would have stuttered and I'm like, Brad, how's the cancer?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, so
yeah.
I think it's important that you know you release something and it could get popular, but you have to, you have to even think about the possibility of it can be big. Like, what do I do if I get big from this?
That's one crazy thing is I've always had like it's weird, but I've already pre-plotted like what will happen if I'm famous. Like, and I guess like I've
I'm
always been
buying all the trailers.
yeah, yeah. But I've always been like a dreamer and a very, very optimistic person. Like I really don't like to think about the worst outcome. I like to think about the best outcome, and like it almost like keeps me motivated to in a sense to like just keep following my dream and stuff like that. But yeah, like there's nights I fall asleep and like just have full on vivid dreams about performing in front of people, and like so that's good that way. But yeah, going back to what you said about like people hearing it and stuff like that, I was actually very blessed. Like shout out to Owen Sound and just anybody that's fucked with it, because it actually did better than I thought. Like it's only been out for just over a month now, and we're roughly around like 5,000 streams.
Wow.
So, which isn't like crazy by any means, but it's better than I thought, like especially
I
coming
think for
from,
a local artist, that's pretty good. That's
yeah,
pretty
so coming
good.
coming from a small city, it's like definitely difficult. And that's one thing that like and like you were saying, it's almost a blessing in disguise because I put out the music and the COVID thing has put like a halt on a lot of stuff. Like even the studio, we haven't been down to the studio yet. Which is hard because like it's nice to be in there and just be able to make like the small adjustments and stuff like person to person instead of him sending over the file, me listening, calling him back, and like really just kind of going back and forth for a couple hours. Um, but the blessing in disguise for me is, like you said, I was able to put out this music now, um, get some reactions, get some feedback, see that it does all right. And from there, I was able to build the confidence that I wouldn't have had at the start. That now, when this COVID lifts, like I would love to get down to the city and just try and chop it up with as many places and people as I can, just to see if I can get it to move around. And
Networking is very key.
yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's something that's going to be coming here in the future, and something that I've been grateful to, like you said, just have life slow down and let me just kind of plan it all out, and give some time to think about how I want to approach it. And instead of just kind of jumping at it, and kind of jump, like I always say, like sometimes birds will jump out of the nest and they can fly, and that's lucky. And sometimes they jump out of the nest and fall
And
right to the ground because they have no idea what they're doing. Like,
Mhm.
and this kind of gave me the opportunity to flap my wings a couple times before I jump out of the nest. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, I think humility is very important when creating content and
yeah,
making mistakes because I think personally for me, I learn best through making mistakes. Then it's just like, okay, I did that. I definitely know for next time not to do that.
yeah. That's one thing that's like, especially with music, and I love, like, and I encourage anybody that even watches this podcast, like, don't be afraid to DM me and ask questions or give feedback. And if you dislike something, like, come forward. Like, that's my favorite thing is like the mistakes that sometimes you make, you can't always see because like there are things that you have almost disguised in your brain to not be mistakes. So it's nice to have that feedback and that second opinion and stuff like that. And that's
Yeah, I
one thing
agree.
that yeah, that's one thing I've really been blessed for, is like my friend group that I just say is family now is very honest with me and like well spoken when it comes to things like that. So that's a big help in that factor. So
Yeah, I think feedback is very crucial. And I think negative feedback is crucial as well because sometimes you want to be told, oh, this is great and this is great. Sometimes you need a slap in the face, but like, buddy, this is hot garbage. Like you need to fix up
that's
here. Like
that's the truth.
sometimes you need to eat humble pie. And I think and sometimes, it can come across the wrong way. Like whenever somebody shows me their work with anything, and obviously
Yeah.
I'm in broadcasting, so I see a lot of stuff in terms of content creation. If I don't think it's good, I'll just be straight up with them. It's like, dude, this is garbage. Like I remember one
And that's
time someone released a project, like it was they had to like film a news story, and it was terrible. Like it was awful. Like Keith, if you're listening, dog, I'm sorry. It was it was awful. Um, but like, I was straight up with him, and I think it ultimately helped him because for his next project, it was like 10 times better. Like I remember seeing it, I'm like, this is night and day, dude. Like it looks so good. So I think sometimes you need to be told you suck to
man,
click in the check.
that's the truest fact ever, because I feel, and even in life, like I was saying about like the hockey situation, I just like refer back to that. Like when you're constantly winning, you find yourself in bad habits. You get like lazy, you think that you're all that, and like you put aside the things that you're supposed to really be like tuning into because you think that you're just fucking floating on this pedestal that really isn't there. And
Hmm.
it does take, and I really love it, like you said, I love somebody to tell me like, hey man, like that was fucking shit. And even if you're like a little bit like, you know what, like I did work hard at it, like nah, 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 like everybody's still entitled to their own opinion, and it
Right,
gives you the opportunity to go back, think upon it, and then improve next time, and like make sure you don't make that mistake twice.
right.
Because I think that's the most important thing in life. Like fuck baseball, for example, you only get 3 strikes, you're out. I think life not necessarily is the same way, but you should look at it the same way. Like you don't want to fucking put out you put out 3 fucking shitty songs, you're probably not going to bounce back too well because you're losing all those people that like gave you the opportunity to put out 3 songs. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's very true.
Constructive criticism. Way
Constructive
to
criticism.
put
And
it.
you know, it's sometimes you just get like blind hate, like this sucks, or you just like you release something, like I release something on YouTube and I just get a dislike, and there's not
Yeah,
much there because you just see a dislike button. But even then, it's like sometimes you also have to distinguish between just blind hate and like criticism. So
yeah,
sometimes if someone says this is hot garbage, it's like, you know, maybe it's not for you. So sometimes
yeah.
there is a fine line.
That's my favorite line. Anybody that's ever gonna tell me something super negative is just, you know what? You're entitled to your own opinion. Like, you might
Exactly.
like blue, I like fucking purple. Like, it's really not the end of the world. Like, you're one person and 7 point some billion people. Like, ooh, like, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, I think like my opinion of your music, if you want to hear it, I think like I do genuinely like your music, but I think your voice is like so unique that it just works with some beats and works with doesn't work with some. Like I liked some songs on your album, like I really did, but some songs
yeah,
I'm like this just isn't the fit. Like the beat's good
and
and the
that,
instrumental's good, but I don't think they work together.
yeah, that's actually one thing that I've really like been struggling to find because like, and I've heard people say that like, and one of the reason why a lot of artists keep the same producers because you learn like what beats go with what artist's voice and stuff like that. And that's one thing I'm really trying to pick up because it's weird. I can rap or sing along to like some songs and you put on something else that you think is kind of the same and you can't do fuck all with it. Like it's just like sounds like fucking shit. And yeah, it's I like and it's an art and painters are the same way. Like it's a fucking art to find which colors correspond with different colors and like what backgrounds are gonna go with the front picture and stuff like that. It's trial and error, and that's where the criticism and the well the constructive criticism comes in handy.
Mhm.
But
Do you think
yeah.
that maybe like say 5 years from now and you're still making music, do you think you'll look back at South of 40 and be like, that's garbage? Or do you think to an extent it's timeless?
I would like I think I was saying like I'm probably gonna look back and laugh at it to the extent like because I wouldn't say it's garbage because it was something that I felt like I needed to do. And like, for example, like somebody's first time riding the bike, they're probably not going to be able to just pop up and do a catwalk down the road, but they still got on the bike and rode it. So like looking back in that aspect, like I'll always be grateful and proud of myself to put it out. But yeah, definitely looking back, I'll probably look back and think this is pretty whack. Like I've definitely came a long way from that. So
Isn't it so interesting though that how you can be in the moment so much to a point where it's like this is really good, and then a year from now you're just like that is garbage. Like I remember making my stuff from the first year of my program, and at the time I'm like I'm working so hard at this. This is gonna sound amazing. And I listen back to it now. I'm like that is tough. Like why did I make people listen to that? And it's kind of scary to think about because even with this podcast, like I think I'm doing a good job, and people have told me I'm doing a good job. Maybe like 2 years from now, I'll be like I'll watch this back and like this is cute. Look at this guy. Thinking he's doing a good job. What a mug.
yeah, that's the
uh,
hard thing too. And like, and anybody that's listening, listening close. Don't fucking talk behind people's back. I would much rather like have somebody tell me like, "Yo, I don't fuck with this at all," than come up to me and be like, "Oh, that's awesome. No, 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 I fuck with it so hard," and then turn around as soon as I walk away, talk to that friend group about how shitty it is. Like, and that's one thing that like you were just saying, like I think it's hard for people like because you do get those people that just say like, "Oh yeah, you're doing awesome," but then 2 years from now, what you thought was awesome and what people told you were awesome really like might not have been all that good. And that's kind
yeah.
of where like, but I mean, you are doing awesome. Like that's fucking. I'm glad to see you're doing podcasts because you've always been a good, well-spoken person. So
Oh, thank you,
yeah,
man. I appreciate that.
welcome,
That means a
welcome. But
lot. I think
yeah,
I think it was interesting. Like high school, I think was a very interesting experience for me. I think like if anyone listening to this went to high school with me, I wouldn't say like I hate that person and who I was, but I definitely say like meet me again. I think I'm a very
Yeah.
different person. Like I think in high school, even though I was like I mentioned this earlier, I wasn't afraid to just go out and like do public speaking, but I had a very like tight knit friend group. Like I had two close friends, and that was basically it. Whereas now it's like I see someone I kind of recognize, like, oh, let's just start up a conversation, see how they're doing.
Yeah. I feel that 100%. Like, and like you said, like if I could meet myself in high school back then, I would have like a great conversation with him, and he'd probably be a lot different going through high school. But I think it did like I wouldn't change anything about high school though, because it did allow me to grow into the person I am now. But yeah, I wouldn't say high school was my favorite spot to be. I, as much as I might have seemed happy and like portrayed the image of being happy, I carried a lot of stuff with me that made high school pretty difficult. So yeah, but like you said, I wish I just did more in high school. But I always say, don't dwell on the past, just do it in the future. So
Yeah, I think that's a good quote to live by. Um, I think fuck it, whatever. I can't think of it. What was I gonna say again? I don't know if I should move on or if I should just say it. Yeah, let's just move on. I'll
all
move
right,
on.
we'll move
I'll
on.
move on. All right, we'll move on. It's gonna be one of those things where it's like I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm like, that's what I was gonna say. Oh my
For
god.
fuck's sake.
Okay. Anyways, this is something I wanted to talk to you about because I find this interesting, and this is something that recently happened to me. Um, so when you released South Authority, I noticed seeing on your story that you posted that people shared it,
Yeah.
and I was wondering how did that make you feel? Like when you released it and people were sharing it, people were fucking with it. Like was that something that was like, holy crap, this is awesome?
To be quite honest, and like it's something I'm very grateful for. I like to say I'm a very, very like self-conscious, humble person. Like I like no like I really, really appreciate everybody that fucks with it and shared it, and like it does make you feel like super, super good inside. And that's why I shared what they shared, because like I was very grateful that those people took their time to like shout out something that I took the time to do, and that felt great. But to be quite honest, like I always like, even when people are giving me like or like when they're now what's the word I'm looking for, um fuck, when they're telling me that like it's good and they're fucking with it and stuff like that, I still like, I really appreciate it. I'll say thank you, but I'll usually follow with like, yeah, but fuck, I wish I could have done this different, or like this will be coming in the future. Like I'm a very bad person for like not being able to take like
Praise,
what, what's that?
like getting praise.
Yeah, I hate praise. Like I don't know why, and like it's something I need to work on, because like if you do good work, you deserve to like enjoy the praise, and that's something you need to like. I think like especially for artists, like you should be able to enjoy a bit of praise, because especially like you with the podcast, like when you put time into something, you should be able to enjoy the praise at the end. But I struggle with that for some reason. Like I
Interesting.
really appreciate everybody reaching out and fucking with it and stuff like that, but I always look back on it as like, oh, I wish I could have done this different. Even though he liked it, like I always say, oh, there's gonna be better stuff coming, instead of like enjoying the moment of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I remember what I was actually going to say a couple minutes ago. I think with everything, really, regardless of whether it's good or bad, I think everything happens for a reason. And
Yeah,
I think the reason why I brought this up is because like going into like doing Brad's podcast, like when I released it, I had like the most views I got from a podcast was like 80 views. Like cool, that's awesome, but like it was nothing compared to Brad. Like it got like 500 views in like the first couple hours. I'm like, what is going on? And seeing from where the podcast went, in which it was just like kind of a niche thing of a hobby, and a couple people watch it, to like
yeah,
1,000 people watching it and people were sharing it. I thought it was something that was amazing. Like I know you
yeah,
said that you struggle to receive praise, and I think that's perfectly fair. Like you're your own biggest critic. But
yeah,
when I just saw everyone sharing it, and even though it's Brad's story and he's a legend, he's a warrior, it was still on my platform. So I thought that was something that was like really, really cool. Seeing people share it, people saying quotes and stuff like this is amazing, and people reaching out to me. It's like It was insane. Like it was so cool.
It is really cool. Like I was very happy for you. Like you deserved it. Like even the podcast before, I definitely like, and I'm gonna be sharing this. Like you deserve more recognition. You ask good questions. You're well spoken. Like it's an interesting, fun podcast that I enjoyed watching. Um, and like you said, like everything happens for a reason. I think like you said, it was a building block for you to get to the Brad podcast and get your confidence, get like the whole setup of how you want to go across the interview and stuff like that. And like, I guess it's the same thing with music. It just needs that one ear. You just needed that one person on your podcast that was able to really just bring in the listeners and stuff like that. And it was a very powerful podcast. Like I sat there in awe the whole time, in awe of the fact that you were the founder of this whole thing and gave Brad a platform to talk about his story, and then in awe of Brad's story and the strength he carries and stuff like that. So it was very, yeah, I think like it'll only just go up from here too. Like I think it'll still continue to climb. So
Thank you, man. I
yeah,
really appreciate
you're
that.
welcome. Yeah.
I think, yeah,
And
I
yeah,
think
you deserve to feel the like you deserve to feel some pride from that because it and that's one thing I've been telling myself is like, you know what? Even if you still don't like think something's okay, you still did something that a lot of people aren't doing or like won't even try in their life. So that alone, like you should praise yourself a little bit for that. So,
oh,
but,
yeah, maybe I should just pat myself on the
yeah,
shoulder a little
yeah,
bit. It's just crazy because like it was just something that happened out of the blue. Like I reached out to him like a month prior. Like, hey man, I just DM'd him. Like, hey man, you want to do it? I never thought it was gonna happen. And then he just reached out to me one day. It's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, oh shit. And then it just happened. And I remember just sitting there and like just like everyone watching, I was just sitting there in awe because like we barely talked prior to the podcast. So I had no idea what this guy was going through. I remember just sitting
yeah.
there being like, holy crap, the amount of shit this guy had to go through, and he's still smiling and he's still going through it day by day. It's just insane. So
He's
I'm
one of
I'm
the strongest people. Like that's it blows my mind. Like,
yeah, it's crazy. And like I said, I think everything happens for a reason. Like I think if he was my first episode, it would have been kind of bad because in the first couple episodes, I was kind of stuck on. Okay, I have a list of questions. Just ask the questions. I was just kind of scared to have a
yeah,
conversation. But now, look, fast forward to now, I've barely asked you any of my questions, and we're just talking, like we're just shooting the shit. And I think that is what genuinely makes a good podcast. I think we just need to talk, just like just chat like buddies, like we used to. And
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I think
it's
that I
nice.
can I can I think I can translate to music to a certain extent. I think a lot of music just sounds better when like I don't know if like this is the right word, but when a singer just kind of sounds in their element and sounds confident and calm, you know?
That's I was just about to say when something's not forced and it comes naturally, that's when it's like that's gonna be your best product every time. And there's like it doesn't matter what it is, if it's schoolwork, if it's music, if it's podcasts, if it's even your job, like if you have to force yourself to do it, then it's not going to be a good product. Like it's
Mm.
when you genuinely enjoy what you're doing and it just comes naturally. And that's the thing, like lifestyles, for example, like I was saying, that's probably my favorite song I've made so far. And it literally was just a freestyle, like 2 minutes and 26 seconds that I just had fun with. Like I didn't even think about what the words were I was saying. I did, but like you know what I mean? I didn't get in depth and tweak words with writing and stuff like that. It was literally just I was having fun one night, turned on a beat, put the record on my phone and just freestyled the whole thing, and from there, yeah, came the product. So
Do you find yourself now making music more easier? Because I think things that something that's happened with me is like now when doing projects, like I feel like since I'm improving, something just things just come more naturally to me. Whereas like when I first started in my program, in my journey, I had to really like force myself to do things. Do you find that writing music now comes a bit more naturally to you?
to an extent, yeah, but actually to an extent in the other way, no. It's kind of hard. Like and this is the thing, a lot of people in music and a lot of people say in music they're not talking about their true life, like a lot of songs and stuff like that, they're just portraying an image that they want people to think that they're living. And that's one thing that I never want to do. I don't want to speak false information in the world. Like I in my sense, I want to be my own prophet. I want to talk about the life that I've lived without any like I guess you can like boast a little bit in ways, but like I don't want to add in things that aren't true or I can't abide by, like that I did in my life. So it actually, this past couple weeks, I've kind of been in a little bit of a writer's block. I actually got back into it last night, which was good, but you did like I just went through like just a bit of a fog on like where I wanted to go next and how I wanted to go at a couple songs and stuff like that. So I would say like writing is easier, but you run into like sometimes it's hard to figure out what to say in a song. So,
I think
but
that's very important. I think
yeah,
sometimes even if you're passionate about something, it's very important to catch yourself because you can burn out. Like I think
yeah,
one thing that happened to me in this past year was by the time I was finished school, I'm like, I just want to take a break. I just want to just like work again and just enjoy kind of not well, this might sound depressing, but just enjoy my life.
no,
Like
I understand what you're saying, and that actually was the same thing with music. Like this, it was actually this past week. I think I got on the microphone once. Other than that, like I was still listening to beats and stuff. Excuse me, listening to beats and stuff like that. But like I never got on the microphone. And I think that week of just like time to myself and doing things that I wanted to do, like not that music isn't what I want to do, but you know what I mean? Like just taking a different approach at your day, allowed my brain to kind of step back and say like, or not even say, just like take a breath and then go back at it, which is a good thing. So, yeah.
yeah,
And
fair.
I think like you said, like you can drain yourself. Like I think if you do something like too much and put all your time and energy into like one thing, you're gonna like drain yourself eventually. Like life's about variety and life's about exploring and learning new things. So yeah, taking the time to definitely reflect on yourself and just even nature, for example, like just to go for a walk is like
Mhm.
so like peaceful and like
Especially
just
now.
like yeah,
Yeah, like
like
I enjoy hiking now. Like I never was a hiker like prior to COVID, but now just like going outside and enjoying the sights is just like something you can just treasure. Like now
yeah,
it's really cool.
weird like rivers. Like I could stand and look at a river for hours. Like I never like as a kid, you go by a river, you I don't know, bring a fishing pole or go fucking jump in it. But like now I'm like sitting here, I'm just like taking in like everything. I'm like, fuck, this is like beautiful. Like this is nice. Like this water is fucking moving in a direction. And even when things are in its way, like it finds its way to get around it. I was like, fuck, this is pretty amazing.
Damn,
Might
yeah.
sound fucking corny, but fuck, it's
Yeah,
kind
no,
of
I
one of my
I
favorite things to do if I'm stuck is just go down to a river somewhere and just reflect on my thoughts and stuff like that.
yeah, facts. That's so true. I think you just I enjoy the little things so much more now because of COVID. So I think there is definitely a
Yeah.
benefit to that.
Yeah.
Like, because like we talked about earlier, like life just before COVID, life was just going so fast. You didn't. It almost seemed like you didn't have time to appreciate that stuff. But now
I
it's just
know.
like wow. Like I think in some ways, COVID has really helped me.
Yeah.
But that being said, it can definitely fuck off now, and I want to go back to being normal. Like I want to go outside. I want to see my
Yeah.
friends. I want to drink with the boys. Like let's come on, Trudeau, come on Ford. Like backs me up, and let's just get going.
Yeah.
Uh,
Speaking of vaccines, I actually got mine yesterday.
oh shit! Really? Nice.
Yeah. Fuck,
I think
she's
I'm.
pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Was it
Feels
Pfizer?
like you got yeah. Or no, was it the Moderna? I think it was the Moderna. But
Okay.
yeah, fuck.
What is
Feels
the
like I
side
got
effects like?
sucker punched in the arm today.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah.
But
I think I'm getting
yeah,
mine in a couple weeks, so I'm pretty psyched
that's
for it.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think everybody just needs to get it. Like I know there's been and like one of the best quotes I've heard that relates to COVID is if you don't listen to the news, you're uninformed. But if you listen to the news, you're misinformed. So which one do you do? And it's so true. Like I think there's been like such a stigma around like the whole COVID vaccines and like you hear about like the one that caused like blood clots and stuff like that. And like people just like immediately went like, fuck this, like not doing it. But like I actually read the study and it was like 1 in 200,000 people could get a blood clot. But then it was like 1 in 5,000 people that take birth control could have a blood clot. 1 in 1,000 people that fly more than once in their life could have a blood clot. It was literally like 1 in 15 people that have ever smoked more than a pack of cigarettes a day could get a blood clot. So like
Jeez.
it's just like it I I feel like the news sometimes can scare people away from the truth, but I personally think that people should just get their vaccines, and just like the flu shot, like it's definitely not going to do any bad, but it could have a good outcome in the end. So
I mean, it's weird because I think back in like December when everything was kind of gloomy, you kind of just wanted everyone to get vaxxed up. But now that you're seeing like what's happening with other countries and numbers going down and people you're starting to see other people's outlooks, it's kind of like
yeah,
I can kind of it went from me being like believe in the science, believe in the news, to now I'm kind of sitting on the fence where it's like, okay, if I'm a healthy person and I'm going outside and I'm doing my thing and I'm getting good sleep, it's like, do I really need the vaccine? Because even if I get the vaccine, I'm still
yeah,
gonna have to wear a mask everywhere. I'm still gonna have to social distance, and it's like some people, I
and you
guess,
can still spread it.
yeah, exactly. You can still get it and you can still
Yeah,
spread it. So it's like
yeah,
I could definitely see the argument now. And it's weird because like
yeah,
a year ago, I'd say a year ago, like around this time, people were protesting. I'm like, oh, what a bunch of idiots to stay home, right? But now it's like I
yeah,
can almost kind of see their point. It's like it's been a year
yeah,
now, you know. This is the third lockdown. So if it's not working, why lock down again? And if it is working, why lock down again? Like I just don't
yeah.
understand. Like it makes no sense. And I'm going on a COVID tangent. It's supposed to be about music,
No,
but
I
like,
don't know. It's hard not to, man. Like anywhere you go, any conversation that you have, like even with family members, like that's it gets to COVID at some point. Like it's just
mhm.
like, and it is. It's I personally think like I regret I should have been vlogging and journaling about it, because it's probably going to be one of the biggest historic events that there's might be. Like there was wars and there was like SARS and there was stuff like that, but like COVID really seemed to like shut down the whole world. Like
Yeah, there's gonna be
and
some fire documentaries in like 5 years
yeah,
time.
yeah,
100%. I'm here for it. 100%. I think the thing that's so interesting about it though is how it's an icebreaker with anybody because everyone's experienced it in some way, right? So I think it's like you just said it. Like I think every single podcast I've had, it's come up in conversation at least once because it's
yeah,
like because it's interesting to hear people's stories and how it's affected them, you know? Because like okay, how it's affected me. Let's see, I stay home and I game and I do some other naughty stuff that I'm not gonna mention. but like that's about it. Like I wouldn't call myself a hero. Like I'm just staying home, just gaming. Like to an extent, it almost felt like nothing really was changing. But some
yeah,
people have really gone through like Jake, for example, a couple episodes ago. Like the guy was just breaking onto the scene in the NLL, and then boom, COVID shuts down, and he can't play the
yeah.
sport anymore. It's like that is like he said it. He said it in the episode. That is a kick in the balls. Like I
Oh
couldn't
yeah,
imagine. I couldn't imagine going through that. And like you finally hitting the peak of what you want to accomplish, and then it's just gone.
yeah. It's quite crazy. Even like, and I feel awful. Like people with jobs and people starting small businesses and like even like people just that have family and kids that aren't allowed to go to school and stuff like that. Like it's just it really has, I don't even know what the word would be, but just made the world quite a cluster for like a little while.
Mhm.
And I personally took it like I always find, and it's weird, I always find myself to do better in the times that like there's struggle. Like I always find if I'm like struggling with something, it's usually when I'll be the best that I've been. Like it's not when I'm just like fucking floating along doing whatever the fuck I want to do that things come out of it. It's like when
Oh,
life throws me fucking lemons, you just fucking bring out the lemon machine and make some lemonade. Fuck it.
I completely see what you're saying, but I don't know why that sentence makes me laugh so hard because I can just picture you like moving to North Korea. It's like I'm gonna drop the hardest mixtape of all time. Like the struggle has to be
Oh,
especially bad to make music.
oh fuck.
Like everyone's being vaccinated in Canada, it's like, ah, shit, I gotta move because like now everything's fine over here. I gotta bring me, I gotta bring your brother and that trailer to like India because it's pretty bad over there. Oh, all right,
Fuck.
all right. Let's move on. This is the final question, a part of this segment, anyways. So let's assume by the end of the year that things are somewhat normal again. What are your short-term goals? Say like next 5 years.
Um, I would love. Well, I got through school, so that's good. That's a check off the checklist. Um, I right now I'm just gonna try and work on saving up some money. Um, hopefully trying to get like the house in line and vehicle paid off, like all that stuff. But yeah, then to the music end of things, I would love to keep like putting out content. And here by the end of this year, or even the beginning of next year, I'd like to make an album. Like right now, I'm just kind of like, and it's weird to say, I just personally thought that like for now, when I'm starting, that like singles and small EPs would be better because like I personally, when if I have to sit down and listen to an album, it has to take like I have to be in the right mood, or I really have to be excited for that person to drop a full album and listen to 16 songs through. So I found that like dropping singles and just like little projects kept people on like their toes a little bit more, like made them want to come back. Um, so yeah, I'm hoping to just keep putting out singles, maybe another couple EPs, and then by early next year, even drop an album. And I'm hoping this COVID thing clears up, and I'm just gonna start really branching out and networking as much as I can to see who I can meet, where I can meet, if I can get any features. Like I'd love to get in the studio with a girl. I really like girl collaborations and stuff like that. So that end of it with music, I'm really hoping to just make something out of it, and hopefully it comes across the right ear, because I guess you never know. Um, and then other than that, just fucking keep putting away. I'm never gonna stop doing music because it is something I love. But even if it doesn't go well, just keep working away at that, and yeah, trying to better myself and grow and better my mental health every day and become stronger in every way I can. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
But
great, man.
hopefully in 5 years I could have music being played across the world, and I'd love to go on a world tour and see the world and meet as many people as I can. And yeah, that's the dream. So
Yeah, that's cool. I think my first episode with my buddy Donna, he also makes music. I said that a million times, but he also makes music, and he said that what he wants to achieve is he wants to reach a level of like I guess fame where he has like a big enough audience where he can just kind of live off of it and do his
yeah,
own thing. He doesn't want to reach like a like A-list celebrity. Like he doesn't want to be like he doesn't want like millions and millions of people listen to his music.
yeah.
Is that something you can relate to, or do you think you want to reach that level?
To be quite honest, I would love to have every single person in the world connect with my music in some way. Like that's the end goal. I would love like, and not even for the fame.
7 billion monthly listeners on Spotify.
Yeah, like like I said, like
Levels.
yeah,
Go
like I
ahead.
said, and I don't think it's greedy, but like, of course I'm working towards money. Like I feel like if you're not working towards money, like, well, I guess that's not true. Like people, you don't need money to be happy, but like I said, like money, sadly enough, is a necessity. Like it's for food, for housing, for family, and even for like generations to come. I would love to be able to be a big support factor in that. Um, so that aspect of it's very nice and something I'm working towards. But like the audience, like you said, I'd love to have billions of people listen, but to me, I don't get overly excited about the fame. Like I would love to have a billion people listen, but I'd also love to be able to go to the grocery store and not be swarmed, or go to the mall and not be swarmed. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Now, if that did come, like I really am a personable, or is that the right word? Personable? I don't know. I like to interact with people. So like if that did come, I wasn't gonna be all mad about it or anything like that. But yeah. Um, yeah, I'd definitely like to get a bunch of listeners and a bunch of followers and stuff like that. And I wouldn't mind being like an A-list artist. That's always been my dream. So I feel like when you're in or when you are an A-list artist, it gives you a lot of power. Like you're able to kind of speak to a broader audience, and you're able to make bigger statements and stuff like that, which I think is very powerful, and I think a lot of people need. So yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good point. I think as long as you use your um like your notoriety for a good thing, I think that can always bode well.
Yeah.
Oh, hey man, I wish you the best in that, and hopefully, if you ever get famous, I can just you can drag me along.
Man, that'd be awesome, right? Yeah.
All right, so this is my final like one of my final segments. It's called quick fire. So I'm gonna ask you questions,
Right on.
but you don't have time to think about it.
Uh,
You can't break it down. You just got to answer it immediately. You've watched my podcast before. You
yeah,
know how this works.
sounds good.
Okay, so you ready?
All set.
Okay, quick fire. Brydon, day or night?
I'm a night guy.
Lunch or dinner?
Dinner.
The Weekend or Drake?
Drake.
Skateboarding or rollerblading?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'd say skateboarding.
Beer or liquor?
I'm a liquor guy. I don't drink beer.
Okay, okay. Vocals or instrumentals?
Vocals.
Okay. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Hockey or baseball?
Hockey.
Solid bars or an amazing hook?
I'd say solid bars. Yeah.
Finally, if you could collab with any artist in the world, who would it be?
J. Cole. Hands down.
J. Cole.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, man. That's the whole podcast. I think that was probably one of the most free flowing podcasts I've ever done.
Yeah,
Like, I
that
think
was
it's kind of
awesome.
crazy how like I barely prepped and we just kind of shot the shit for like an hour. I think that was great. So just before I wrap up, I want to give you the chance to just kind of promote whatever you have going on. So this next minute, man, the stage is yours.
Right on. Well, I just want to say I appreciate everybody who's tuned in. And if you have tuned in, keep tuning in because I got a bunch more coming here soon. Shout out Canadian Daydream. They've done crazy work with the music we've sent over and have given me the ability to put this out on these platforms. And anybody that hasn't listened and that sees this podcast, I really encourage you to give it a listen. It's Brydon with 2 N's, BRYDONN. And yeah, stay blessed. Much love and big things to come.
All right, man. Awesome. So that's been another episode of Beyond the Naked Eye. I'm your host, Brian Correa. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.